ElevenLabs has just released their latest AI model, the latest version of their audio AI, and that is Turbo 2.5. There's a bunch of really interesting updates that they've released with this. I want to go over all of those in the podcast, and some interesting new use cases I am seeing that people are going to be using these AI models for. Essentially, the biggest change, I believe, is really just the latency has been cut down a ton, and this unlocks so many new use cases. So we're going to be diving into all of that on the podcast today. Let's get into it. So the first thing I want to talk about is they made this announcement over on LinkedIn, and then I'm sure, most other platforms, X, whatever, etc. But really interestingly, they said that they are introducing a few new languages that have never been seen before. But essentially Hindi, French, Spanish, Mandarin, and about 27 other languages. So they have a ton of languages on here, right? 30 plus languages. And the thing that I think is amazing about ElevenLabs is honestly just the amount of languages. I've personally translated my podcast into, I think, 26 different languages using ElevenLabs and using their voice cloning technology. So it's absolutely fascinating. Essentially, I grab a YouTube link from a YouTube video, I'll throw it into ElevenLabs or my virtual assistant, throw it in there, and they can go and it will essentially clone my voice and translate it into all of these different languages. Now, what's amazing is this is kind of what I use it for, and what I've used it for a lot is kind of something that is done. You go and you make the translation, and it takes 20 or sometimes like 15 or 20 minutes for it to actually go and translate a full episode for me, like a 10-15 minute episode. And that makes sense, whatever. What they're doing here with this latest update completely eliminates a lot of the time spent, because they're removing the latency. It just got 3 times faster. And this is specifically for their API access, meaning not just when you go and use their platform, but when developers go and integrate ElevenLabs into all sorts of different software. I'll give you some examples in a second. All of a sudden, the latency for it to be able to translate and speak comes down significantly. So they said that this unlocks high quality, low latency conversational AI for about 80% of the world. So the languages they have covers about 80% of the world. Of course, there's a ton of very small, niche, random languages. I have family members from, islands in the South Pacific, Vanuatu, for example, where they speak Bishlama, and I'm assuming they don't have Bishlama translated. But 80% of the world is accounted for in their current suite of languages, which is phenomenal. They said, for the first time, we are supporting Vietnamese, Hungarian, and Norwegian text-to-speech. So this is awesome. I think as not only are they making the models better and faster, but they're supporting more and more languages. This is something I'm very excited about. And they also said English is now 25% faster compared to Turbo V2. So I don't think people understand, like 25% faster. ElevenLabs, in my opinion, was already the all-time best, voice model out there. The latencies was great. People are already building really phenomenal products. Putting out an update that makes this thing 25% faster, and as you kind of see the rate of progress, this thing is going to be near instantaneous. I mean, it already is, but in the near future, this is only getting better. So absolutely phenomenal. Of course, they say you can go over and get started on ElevenLabs. They also have announced that they do volume discounts and unlimited concurrency. So you can go contact them directly, and they can give you a discount on the price if you are doing high volumes. And it also makes it so essentially you can have unlimited usage. A lot of times, even me, while I'm getting AI Box, my no-code AI app builder platform built and set up, we have rate limits for things like OpenAI. I'm just using ChatGPT. You have to hit certain tiers and kind of unlock your account with certain usage and amount of money, and it's kind of a fiasco. So it's interesting. You can go contact them directly and get rid of any sort of limitations to it. So what are the use cases for this? Recently we had Tori Leonard on the podcast. He's the founder of Thoughtly, and essentially they're creating, a customer support, or I think they're doing call centers, and they're automating call centers with AI, and they tie in directly to ElevenLabs. He commented on this post and said, a game changer for Thoughtly's international customers, with fire emoji. So I think, whether it's founders like himself, a lot of people are very excited about this. And what that really means is, as the latency comes down, you think of a call center, instead of talking to an AI, that the AI might be completely capable of handling your query or your issue. Having to wait for latency would pretty much be the worst customer experience possible, right? You ask it a question, hey, my flight is delayed, what do I do? And then it sits there for like 10 seconds and then responds. Nobody wants that. So as these things get instantaneous in their talking back to you, this is phenomenal. And in addition to this, I would say ElevenLabs already had really amazing voices. It didn't sound robotic. They have great inflection, great tonation or tonality. Like ElevenLabs sounds amazing, but there's always the issue of latency. So it's amazing that they're kind of hitting all of these different issues. They released a video talking about a bunch of different use cases and talking about all of the different languages they're covering. They showed off demos of 2 use cases. One is someone embedding ElevenLabs or using it with Perplexity. So essentially getting Perplexity to respond to any of your queries. And Perplexity is pretty much like the AI Google replacing tool. I think this is definitely a very good use case. Perplexity is a great tool. I know a lot of people that exclusively use this over Google. And if you could have essentially it read to you, that's awesome. They also showed some of the great features that they're working with a company called Envision. So it's glasses. And to be honest, Envision, I'm not sure if this is Google, but it might be Google Glass. Envision looks exactly like Google Glasses, right? So you're wearing a pair of glasses and there's kind of this little glass lens that sits in front and it augments what you're seeing. So Envision essentially using ElevenLabs gives you the ability to look at a book, for example, and it will highlight what's on the book, and ElevenLabs will be able to read it to you. Now, because there's no latency, whatever you're looking at, you could have it set to automatically read to you, or you could probably look and then blink at something and kind of have it set up where it reads to you, or it sees things and it's explaining what you're looking at. So that's an amazing use case that low latency, again, really unlocks because it's instantaneous. They also mentioned the low latency is great for, if you want video game characters to be really interactive and personalized. You can build these kind of NPCs, in a video game to kind of talk to you and do it in a customized way. But there's no latency. You're not sitting there and waiting for them to generate their response and talk to you. It's immediately speaking. And so this is what I find so phenomenal. We've seen demos earlier from companies like Air AI that are kind of working for sales to do this. And all of these tools rely on essentially this underlying technology of ElevenLabs, or there's a few others. But the more they can cut this latency down, it has major implications for people actually wanting to go and use this tool and talk to an AI. It's not like everyone's first choice, I think, to speak to an AI. A lot of people are like, this isn't what they want to do. But if it really can give you amazing results, if it can answer and solve your problems perfectly, which other companies are working towards that, and the voice sounds great and the latency is not there, I honestly think that this is a no-brainer. It replaces call centers, sales departments. I know this is controversial and people will be upset about me for saying this, but massive amounts of innovation and automation. And maybe it's not like, this replaces your sales department. Maybe every sales rep has these tools and they can send them out on calls and they can follow up and they can come up with the strategies and organize and do stuff. Software will also be able to do a lot of this. But anyways, I think that there's a ton of automation. And I honestly think a lot of it is quite exciting. So people will be greatly augmented, and we're going to see a lot of innovation and a lot more productivity. So I'm super excited for that. If you enjoyed the episode today, if you could go over and subscribe on YouTube, or if you're listening to this, make sure that you leave us a review. Leave me a review. I read them all. I really appreciate it. I hope that you all have an amazing rest of your day.